This week on The Half Hour, we continue with our conversation with Ms. Nelsiwe Mabuza, the CEO of African Alliance. For more lovely conversations like this one, do the right thing and subscribe, then click on the bell for notifications.
The Half Hour, on the record, for the record.
So that is a very interesting, life you've had at school from primary till high school. Please take me through university, university life, which is what a lot of people in primary and high school look up to because it seems glamorous until you get there. How was it for you?
I love Pila because I need to be honest.
Yeah, please do.
University life for me was interesting. That's the best way of talking about it. When you've come from a family where it's been strict, and I think that's what most children go through.
Yeah.
You don't have time for anything else. Because even at St. Michael's, remember there's order. I'm in boarding school, so you're told when to eat, you're told when to go to class, you're told when to study and for how long. And then suddenly here is freedom.
Yeah, freedom.
It's a stage that I think a lot of children are not prepared for. I say that because most of them, it's where you either define who you're going to be for the rest of your life, or you lose yourself.
Yeah.
You get exposed to different habits, a lot of things that happen. And although now I'm told it starts in high school for a lot of children, but in our time, at least it was at varsity where you've got your own apartment. No one is there, no one is telling you when to come back. Even classes, you can miss classes because you start discovering actually I can miss a class and no one penalizes me for it. So there are a lot of things I think I wanted to say I probably would do differently, but perhaps not, because at the same time, in as much as the freedom itself created a different personality, I needed to discover that person, and I needed to discover that person early, and discover that person to determine if I want to be that person or I want to become a different personality. What do I mean by that? There's a lot of responsibilities that I then took for granted. I was not attending some of the classes. I was having fun.
Yep.
You dabble with different things. I'm not going to lie and say I didn't try alcohol or I did, but fortunately for me it didn't take. It's just one of those things that I learned quickly that okay, this is not for me. But all those experiences can derail you.
Sadly.
Yeah. Fortunately, at the same time, that is when you then learn independence, because you also then learn that the policing that you've had will not always be there. You try and tell them, see, at a certain point, you're going to have to make your own decisions. And there's not going to be anyone behind you that's pushing you. So that experience then forced me to wake up at some point to say, okay, now you've played. You need to go back and read. You need to go back and be the excellent person that you know yourself to be. So I then came back to class. Pushed. Fortunately, it was quick. The transition, the transition, the turnaround was also just as quick.
Exactly.
Not to say then I stopped completely to go out and have fun and engage with friends, and you still do those things, but at least you're then able to time yourself.
A balance.
And balance. Serious. And that's a lesson that you then need to carry also for the rest of your life. And I think a lot of us fail also at that. Look, understand that when I'm here, I'm supposed to be delivering, but just cornerless cast is a good thing. And let me play.
Yeah.
Yes.
True.
So one of the transforming experiences lingaba now at university is I actually failed my 4th year.
Okay. What
was interesting in that experience is not because bese bengisadlala. Actually ngiyile kahle and I was applying myself. But for the first time in my life of applying myself, I didn't get the result that I expected to get.
Okay.
So here is a character that has survived by knowing that if you apply yourself excellently, if you do this diligently, if the result is a definite yes.
Yeah.
This particular time it doesn't happen.
It's a no.
It's a no.
Yeah.
And then if you remember, both now failing in your subject, you repeat the whole thing. So I flunked one math subject. There were reasons to it.
Yeah.
But to you as a student, it doesn't matter why you failed. You need to come back and repeat. In as much as everything else, you may have gotten excellent results, like unabo A, but you still need to repeat everything. Pass.
Yeah.
So you learn a certain tenacity that I would not have learned. That was the hardest experience, I think, of my life. In that age, within that age, because you come back. One of the struggles I had was, because of the family that I come back from, government did scholarship, so so it was very difficult. You move from a dorm, you go into a one room, so you're commanding a punch, you're trying to, it was a change. It was actually taking me back to the way I grew up, which is what was interesting, because but suddenly you're taken back to to be able to bath and everything else. There's no electricity, but you have to study. There's no toilet. People latrines. So that's for that year, and you're in 4th year at that point in time. That's how you need to live. It humbles you, because it humbles you, but it also then teaches you a humility no other experience can teach you. Because now you have to simplify again. But at the same time, you have the drive still to become better. It's not a permanent situation, and that's what helped me. Because I then knew it's okay. I have to repeat. Then I did that. Then I had to start working. Nangsuga University, I was doing BSc.
Okay.
So my discipline was chemistry and mathematics. Interestingly, I always thought the reason I chose those, I thought I wanted to be a doctor. It always seems fancy. Now, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm good in sciences, so it's a natural transition. Nangceza, the second time, 4th year, I then decide, before I apply for any universities, I think it's a special. I got there within 2 seconds of seeing blood, and I knew for sure, this is not for me.
The dream was over.
The dream was over. It's just not going to happen. Forget it. It's not for you.
Yeah.
That's a disappointment that's also difficult to deal with, because you have been so sure. Chemistry, and everything else. Suddenly you don't know anymore what you want to do.
Yeah. At that point, after university even, I know it's common amongst high school students, but now you've been so sure even at university, and then 2 seconds later it's like, nope.
No, it's not happening.
Not for me.
So yeah, I go back home. See, we've closed. I sit home. I'm not very good at sitting idly and not doing anything. So I sat home for like a week, and then I said to my mother. My mother is my best friend.
To this day.
To this day.
Wow.
She's actually the person I look up to.
Wow.
I know people, superstars and whatnot. And for me, it's always been my mother.
Wow.
Because the lessons that she taught me, I carry today. She's still
beautiful.
Teaching me even
That
today.
Is beautiful.
So I said to her, okay, Mom, I don't know what I want to do. Then I'm like, you know what? Okay, because I need to decide. Because I did maths as well. She's like, there's no way. There is no way. Qualified. You've just. I'm like, so I went there. Nangfika easily laughed at me the first time.
You met the man in the legend.
I met the man in the legend. He laughs at me. He says, no. You know, at least they do sometimes take straight because yes, before they didn't because so there were a lot of people that are qualified teachers. So it's very hard to get in if you don't have teaching. I went back until he said, okay, you know what?
I'm tired.
We are start tomorrow. Start teaching.
Wow.
Okay, so I started. I think I did Form 1 and Form 2 because obviously now experience. You're young, you know.
Yeah.
Ngene class ngene Form 5 so
and old guys go to school and like that. So I can imagine you're coming there as a teacher and you can't go Form 5.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're a tiny little thing at that point in time and they're looking at you and thinking, okay, Lorna. So I taught for a few weeks. Then one day I get a phone call, and this is where God works and miracles happen.
Yeah.
I said to you when I was repeating my 4th year, I thought that was the worst experience of my life. I still consider it the hardest. But interestingly, that was my blessing.
Really?
Absolutely. Had I not repeated my 4th year, I would not be where I am today.
Okay, that's interesting.
So there was a lesson in it, a lesson that I didn't understand, I didn't know. But years later, I then knew that God's timing is His timing. Everything happens in His time. Yeah. There's certain things that we think we want, and we work for them, which is why I was saying I'd always said if you work hard, you get good results, and it didn't happen that way. Specifically because He was posing me for something even better. Yeah. Anyway, I get a phone call. Some lecturer. Because I had been good, and it's like being passed before until in fail, had submitted my name somewhere for a scholarship without me knowing. He just said one day, write a thesis on something. I don't even remember specifically what it was right now. Actually, no. He wanted me to write and say, what would I do differently? Having failed, you're repeating. What would you do differently? Okay. If you were given the opportunity? So I why he's asked for it. I write it, I submit, I forget about it. Yeah. Honestly, yes. I forget about it. Anyway, he then submitted it. It then turned out to people from Norway that were offering scholarships, and I was awarded. Okay. This is 2 months. So I start in May. July, I get a phone call. Now you have to go to Zimbabwe for another degree. Wow. Degree? I didn't apply. What's going on? But anyway, then it turns out this lecturer. I go to Harare to do a master's in mathematical modeling. What they had done at that point in time is it was a pilot program. So they had gotten students from different universities. So someone coming from Tanzania, Malawi, different people that they felt were qualifying were smart, to come into one room and create something different. So that experience was amazing for me, because then I got exposed to different cultures, different people, and learned that, there's other lives, other opportunities, and other ways of doing things. Then I got that done, and I came back home. 2 years. I come back. It's a program that now it's interesting. I still didn't know where I was going to use it. Because it's maths. So most people feel now never maths. You come back and do a PhD in mathematics, and then you lecture. And my 2 months as a teacher, in as much as it was fulfilling, I enjoyed it, because I was imparting knowledge to students.
Young people,
yes. But I knew also that's not for me, because the talking was exhausting. To simply put it, just the everyday, I'm not I've already told you, I grew up a very quiet child, so I still prefer to be in a corner somewhere quiet. Then I came back. Nangsa Zimbabwe, I had decided that I would like to work for DBO or Sugar Association. For some reason, I was doing research, and those were the companies that looked interesting. Third one being Conco. I come back and I decide I'm going to go and start looking for employment. No one is listening. No one, you know how it is. It's very difficult. One of the most difficult things for a lot of students, like qualified nyalo, is actually to get employed.
Certainly.
Minege, I'm not one of those that are entrepreneurial naturally. That comes from, I think, exposure. But it's not, I was clear I didn't want to run my own business. So I came back knowing that I want to be employed somewhere. But at the same time, wherever I am, I want to be the best. I want to be excellent. Then I got the job at African Alliance. The way I got the job also, I think, is just my stubbornness.
The same way you
the
did it
same
with
way
working,
I did it with yes. Because in Accord, it took 2 weeks of me every single day going into the reception, sitting there. Angela PA would see the appointment, and I'm telling her, I need the appointment. I need to see the person. You know, you can't, because you know how it is. A lot of people go through the same thing, but I was just stubborn. I went back because I knew that's where I wanted to be. Having failed at Sugar Association and DBO, Nangisi failed. Fortunately, there I did see the CEO Zakon. The conversations, Beksena Kaba, Sugar Association, that's where I started, Dr. Kaba. The conversations, Nankulumanai, I knew it was okay. It's not the space for me. Why it's not the space for me. Then continued until one day I'm reading the newspaper, I see something about African Alliance. And it just clicked.
So you didn't even know about them that much?
I didn't know. Not even that much. I didn't know at all about the company.
You just stumbled into a newspaper article?
I stumbled into an article. I saw Gininza, and I'm like, because I'd known him previously. I'm like, okay, I know this person. Okay, I remember. Then I read about advertising something.
Yes.
You know, I read about the business. I'm like, okay, that's where I'm going to work.
Wow.
I go there. What was interesting in the 2 weeks when I was trying to meet them, long reception, PA I was observing a lot. So I learned a lot about the business just sitting there. Because you then observe the clients that are coming in, you're listening, you see, okay, what's happening, you know, and you're gaining your confidence, you're gaining knowledge that you wouldn't gain otherwise. Because, you know, because you end up being the people in the office at first, but I was okay, who's this who comes
Yeah.
every day? But after a few days, people forget that you're there. Then they start being themselves and being comfortable. So I fell in love with the culture of the business.
Okay.
There was something for me that was different from anything else that I'd read about, that I'd seen at that point in time, because they were relaxed, but they delivered.
Wow.
It's an interesting environment, Nelsiwe.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine.
It's quite an interesting environment. So yeah, that's how I started at AA. Met Guinness 2 weeks later, met one of the other partners, Nailo Akulman, 5 minutes, and agreed, you're starting the next day.
Wow, man, this is such a mouthful. This is such a mouthful. What a journey, Thank you so much for sharing that part of the journey. I'm obviously excited to go on a bit more because this can't be the end of our conversation. But thank you very much. Thank you for tuning in. Join us again next week for the third and final part of this awesome 3-part conversation. If you still haven't, remember to subscribe and click on the bell for notifications.
The Half Hour. On the record, for the record.